Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are back on the episode 13th of Strategy Consulting Room. And today we are witnessing a different zone, a different niche of the SCR. We were discussing the case studies, the emerging cases in the Indian landscape, but today we are shifting and marking the paradigm shift. Now we are aspiring to discover the core skill sets which are important for the entrepreneurs, which are important for the employees working for the entrepreneurs in this country. We are living in a VUCA world, a world which is rapidly changing, a world where we need diverse skill sets, and the conventional skill sets are becoming redundant, especially in the face of Gen AI, in the face of emerging nanotechnology, biotechnology, or even achieving of the singularity. So today we have a very, very special guest. We have a guest who have passed out from the Stanford University, one of the best and the brightest individuals from the top universities of the world, who was working in US, who came back to India to make the India Atmanirbhar, who worked on the Modi's Prime Minister's Modi's campaign of Startup India, and came back into a tier two city of Bareilly and opened a startup, a new venture called Paanduv Applications. Paanduv Applications, which is working on the high tech cutting edge levels, which supplies the simulation knowledge and the simulation background and simulation information to the companies. Details will be told by Adwaith Gupta. So, CEO, I welcome CEO and the founder of Paanduv Applications, Adwaith Gupta, to this episode. Adwaith, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gaurav. Nice meeting you.
And I really want our audience, because they'll be very curious to know your story and your background. That how did you come to start this your own venture called Partner Applications? Just a brief story.
One thing was very clear from the beginning that I always wanted to do a business. I wanted to do things in my own way, the way I see the world. And there was also a cultural or a family support for doing that. So I think it was a good combination of both my personal and family aspirations that I wanted to start a company, something of my own. So, I mean, apart from why technical business or why something else, this was the core reason why I was successfully able to start something in a tier two city, as you mentioned, like Bareilly.
That's great, Advait. And how difficult it was passing from Stanford and leaving a very cushy job, particularly in the US, and coming back to India. How tough was that?
It wasn't tough actually. Personally, it wasn't a very tough thing because my mind was set that I will eventually do it, and it was just a matter of spending time in the US and working and learning and gathering the right amount of skills. And when the time and circumstances were right, I moved back to India and started my own venture. And again, thanks a lot to my family for being very supportive and pushing me every single day that how long will you take before you start your own thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Advait. Advait, CFD का introduction मैंने दिया. It was very brief, and I do not know did I even give a correct introduction for people like a lot
Yes.
of like me who are laymen. Can you explain your industry and the company's function at CFD company?
Right. So I think you were pretty close, but let me rephrase it a little bit. So our company, Paanduv Applications Private Limited, we work basically right now on three technologies. The first one being computational physics. The second one is artificial intelligence. And third one, which is very new and we have just gotten started, is the quantum computing. A major chunk of our work is still falls in the computational physics domain. And for those who are not from that background, uh, you can imagine computational physics as a way of defining everything that is happening around you, that is happening at the engineering level, that is happening in the entire universe, using a system of mathematical equations which happen to be not very easy to solve. So
Great.
we use very advanced algorithms, we use high performing computers to somehow solve those equations, because if we can solve those equations, then we will be able to address some of the very challenging problems that we see in basically all the industries ranging from aerospace, defense, advanced manufacturing, green energy, biotech, medical, healthcare, and it could either be something very new that we could innovate using a complete understanding of computational physics, or it could just be that we can improve upon the existing pipelines, existing products that these companies or these industries are offering right now. So, in a nutshell, that's what we do. Uh, Again, artificial intelligence and quantum computing are again to support this fundamental understanding of the universe, and not necessarily as standalone technologies in a company. I hope that made some sense.
Definitely, that makes sense. Adwaith, also, I believe that you are trying to add value into the operations of the company. I'm trying as a
Yes,
management consultant myself
yes,
that you are
yes,
trying to make sure that the operational expenses are cut down. They make better quality designs,
right.
and it's like digital twinning. So what you do is you're applying physics simulations to make sure that the big companies like Boeing, the defense companies, can manufacture top uber quality weapon system or the products at the lowest possible price.
Exactly. I mean, that's
Great.
100% correct. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That's
great,
that's
Advaith.
very true.
Advaith, I must be wondering that it is such a lonely journey. I often hear that being an entrepreneur and a founder, especially and a CEO, it's a very lonely journey. How do you reckon this emotional aspect of being a founder and an entrepreneur? For the people who are watching, there are 32 people right now in the house who are listening to you. I really want them to share your emotional resilience which you bring.
I mean, there are ups and downs emotionally. Uh, I do get frustrated at times. I do get overexcited at times. Uh, but I guess, I mean, a lot of thanks to, I mean, to my group of friends and family, that they have always stood up, and they have dealt with a lot of my BS over time. And but yeah, I feel like it gets lonelier as the company becomes older, despite having more people in the company, uh, because the initial 6 months or 1 year of your company are very dynamic, and you really don't care about your emotions, or perhaps you don't get any ups and downs really. I mean, that was the case, but then once you start seeing that, okay, you what you did was right, and you now need to be very careful taking forward the company, and that's when the fear kicks in of losing something which has a lot of potential, and that's when the emotional drama becomes more and more frequent. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, it is becoming more lonelier, despite having, you know 3 times more staff compared to the last 2 years.
Great. Advait, I think we have first question. I'll be just barging in. I think you can see it on your screen. Advait Gupta, is the Indian domestic market ready to use cutting edge tools? In my experience, there's a serious dearth of experience of actually using the tools, let alone do research using the tools. How do you answer this question by Kedar? Kedar, I'm sorry, Kedar, if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Kedar, yes.
Right. Uh, that's a great question. Thanks for asking, Kedar. It's actually a mixed market right now, wherein we do have organizations in India, especially organizations which are of highly sensitive nature, and sooner or later they will have to do their own research. They also have quite extensive research labs. It's just that when it comes to using tools, research tools, there is still importing the software from outside. For
Okay.
example, in our case, there are many computational physics software that are developed in the US or the Europe, and then they simply get imported in India, and then they are relying on that. But this brings a very good opportunity for us to step in and tell these organizations, look, we are developing this in India. We are Indian citizens. We are sitting in India. So even if your data is stolen, it is not going to leave India. At least, it may leave
Great.
your city, but it will still be in India. Uh, so that's one thing. Data security is a big thing. Then, uh, cost of supplying such software within India is very, very less compared to so-called developed countries, simply because cost of development, cost of maintenance is very low. And on top of that, we are sitting in a tier 2 city. So rather than investing in big buildings and expensive offices and travel times, we're investing well on our computers and employees. So keeping all these things together, I mean, Indian research labs are actually benefiting quite a lot when it comes to saving money, and when it comes to doing running their operations in a more sustainable way, and still at par or many times better than the accuracy provided by imported software. So there
That's
is a huge market. There's a huge market, and it's growing exponentially almost every year. Even I am surprised, because the way I had planned the company, that maybe 5 years down the line, people will actually start using these tools. But it's getting there much faster than I thought.
I was researching for the CFD, and they have a compound annual growth rate of more than 12%
Yeah,
industry year
yeah,
by year in the world.
yeah,
And
yeah.
a great concept. I was just reading about this book from Jim Collins about hedgehog concept. So, as you mentioned that you're focused in a tier two city of Bareilly and only focusing on reducing the operational cost by not shifting into tier one city, completely focused on creating quality services or CFD. I think you're a perfect example of hedgehog, what Jim Collins mentioned. Hedgehog versus the cost. A lot of managemental people
Right.
who will be watching it, they'll be able to reconnect with this. Great, Adwaith. Adwaith, now coming on to the core topic. Now understanding, please, before we understand that what core skill sets you are seeking, please also explain your industry dynamics. What industry challenges are there so that we can understand that what core skill sets you seek.
One of the biggest industry challenges, at least at a national or at the India level, is confusion around this industry. Our industry typically requires a lot of expertise in pure sciences, physics, mathematics, computer science, and then on top of that, you need expertise in engineering. So it basically requires a lot of hard work over an extended period of time. Many times our employees are PhDs or at least masters. I mean, we don't have anyone who is at a BTech level right now in the company. So
Mhm.
everyone is at least at a master's level. Now, just imagine this group of very smart people. What's happening in India and this CFD industry or computational physics industry is there are shortcuts too. They do all this studying and hard work, but they end up in a company which is only a namesake CFD company, because the technology has really not caught up in India. Okay, so they do very well academically. They are prepared for that most likely, but when they end up in the industry, they're not actually doing what they have learned and what they've invested their life in. So that I think is becoming a big challenge, not just for the people seeking to make a career in this field, but also for people like us, because there are a lot of confusion creators in the market, and that is confusing the right people, the true experts in the field, and whether they should be with Panda, whether they should be with someone else, simply because they're putting everyone in the same basket, and most of them don't even belong in that basket. So that's at a national level. At a global level, our last 2 decades has seen a very bad trend, and I like to speak that at a lot of forums as well, public forums, that we need to really even out the amount of engineering that is taught at the engineering college. There should be a very heavy focus right away on pure sciences, because India will never leapfrog. India will never surprise or never reach the top of the world by teaching mechanical, computer science, or civil engineering. There has to be a paradigm shift at a very fundamental level, and that shift will only happen when we start producing graduates in physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology, zoology, and that will trigger research. So this is a problem at a global level. I mean, people are switching towards applied jobs because they are fancier. They are getting paid. They are even ditching their computational physics knowledge. They are simply going to some data analytics firm, simply because application gives them a lot of money at a very short amount of time. But research is a difficult and long drawn out process. So these are the two challenges I feel our industry is facing quite heavily.
Absolutely. And there are almost 36 people in the house, Adwaith. And people who have joined late, let me reintroduce our guest. He's a founder and CEO of Paanduv Applications, passed out of the Stanford, worked in the US, came to India and the title city of Bareilly, and started a great company called Paanduv Applications, which is thriving and doing great and having employees. And Adwaith is on hiring also. He is not normally hiring for, I think after every 6 months, I see a LinkedIn ad that the Paanduv applications are hiring. Adwaith, now coming onto the core topic, there are people who will be watching and eagerly wanting to listen that what core skill sets, the hard skill sets first, and then the softer skill sets we'll discuss, you believe you want your employees to have.
I mean, the hard skill sets are very straightforward. We want people with very strong analytical skills. I mean, when they see something on a wall, when they see some numbers, they should they should find something beautiful about the numbers. I mean, that's basically how the pure sciences work. We also expect them, irrespective of which department or which background they come from, we expect some amount of programming experience as well, or not some amount. If it's the more the better. um, and then we are of course looking for applied aspects of their engineering. So if he's a mechanical engineer, while we do pure software related work, he should still be able to connect dots with what's happening with an actual turbine, rather than just seeing everything in a decoupled manner. So these are, I think, the basic hard skills, I would say. um, I mean, at least that's what I can think of right now. On the soft skills side, I think that's been more challenging for us. But before actually coming to this presentation, when you talk to me that we are going to talk about this hiring topic, it actually uh, made me introspect that what exactly has been the pattern of hiring in our company. Because there is definitely a pattern, but I never thought about it. I never sat down and thought about it. And we have more than 1,000, a database of more than 1,000 applicants. And when I go through them, out of 1,000, of course, we ended up hiring 10. I mean, that's been the ratio. But what were the key soft skills that as a company we went after? So I've actually noted them down. uh, and some of them might be a bit shocking, but like I promised on my LinkedIn post as well, I'll be very honest about it.
It has to be radically honest because we are in a
Yes,
different time zone right now.
yes.
Yeah.
So health is very important in our company, both mental and physical. We expect people to take care of themselves, to carry themselves in a hygienic and a healthy manner, because irrespective of how much of a genius you are, if that one criteria is somehow not met, uh, we have found people not doing well in the company,
Hmm.
because it requires persistence, continuously sitting on the chairs, looking at the computer screens. You cannot miss a comma here or there. Your program won't work. So that requires some sense of self control and self indulgence in terms of being passionate about your own health. The second thing is, we haven't hired people who do not show ownership of work,
Hmm.
which is how they approach a certain project. There are people who would say if something goes wrong, they would start pointing fingers, but then there are other group of people who would say, uh, "Yeah, this is wrong, but let's try to find out ways for fixing it for now, and we can fight later on." So that is important. Ownership. Third one, I think the most critical is the long term collaboration. We expect people to stay in a company for a couple of years simply because it's a research type of work. No magic happens within a span of 6 months or 1 year. And it is very important that we build that long-term relationships, the good old way where you started in a company, stayed there for a decade or two. Of course, if there is a mutual care happening there. So long term collaboration is important. Uh, the clarity on their relationships. Again, this is also barging slightly on the personal territory, but we have found, again, because we have more than 1,000 applications, people who have just married, people who are just about to marry, these both have been bad candidates for a company so far. So we look for people who are far from marriage, or they have married for a significant amount of time, probably a few years. So they both seem to be in a more emotionally stable state, and then they do well in the company. And the last one is passion towards India, because none of this matters if you don't have passion to actually make India to the top of the world. It shouldn't be a quick money making business. You should actually feel, no, no, what we are doing, we will not be second or third. We will just be number one, and that passion towards their own country has to be there. So these were the five things that I think I could summarize from a data set of around 1,000 plus applications that we have at the company.
Hey, that's great, Adwaith. And I think the follow-up question will be that people watching will be having this thing in their head that how different the skill sets, because I see on Instagram a lot of trolling happening on the startups. People say they have to take their own food, they have to maybe switch on their own lights, sometimes even have to sweep their own floors. So that kind of I see the trolling on Instagram. But I believe a lot of the big companies today, Amazon, Facebook, or Meta, Google, have started in that way. They've started from a scratch. How do you? What answer do you want to give to these trolling which is happening on these Instagrams and all these things about startup culture?
I
That's a
mean, there are
huge concern.
multiple. Sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, I already kind of answered that. I touched upon that point when I said ownership of the company. I mean, you take ownership of your apartment or your house, right? Because you really care about it. And while we do have, I mean, at least the people in my company don't have to do that. On the contrary, we have provided, you know with facilities which probably bigger companies don't do. For example, we have provided them maids, so that they don't have to take trouble of cooking in the lunchtime, because that's a very short span of time. Evenings and mornings are fine, you can manage, but lunchtime becomes a trick. We don't want, and we are not just saying we want them to be healthy, we have taken steps to make them healthy. We make sure that the maids, I mean, their food is continuously monitored. We make sure they are staying healthy, they're not eating junk food, and this is all part of our HR policy. So as far as doing things in the office, I don't think, first of all, it's a bad thing, if you can, you know take 100% care of your area. That could even be, cleaning your computers, cleaning your tables,
absolutely.
cleaning your chairs, switching off the light before you leave, switching off the air conditioner. And I don't think I think people, if they're not liking this, they're probably just not liking the aspect that, that's probably something below them, and they just don't want to do it. So they probably don't do this at their home also.
Very true. Very true. So the ownership is the key. And how do you
Yes,
believe that as a CEO, how important is networking? Like if
that's very important. And to be honest, sitting in a tier 2 city, that's one of the drawbacks of being in tier 2 city. You get to network with people, but probably not the right type of people at all times. Networking is important, and we do travel to Hyderabad or Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Delhi, whenever needed. Good thing is we have an airport here now that has direct flights to many of the cities in India. So it's very critical, and I've learned the hard way that, no matter how nice you are on a digital media, and how much ever you try to convince the potential clients, meeting them in person, if the deal is not going forward, at least you will know that the deal is not going forward. So
absolutely.
that's the big thing that happens when you are with that person in in physical reality, like not over a virtual thing. So very critical, I would say.
True. Otherwise, there are a lot of people, apart from, I think there are 36 people in the house, and a lot of people will be watching the recordings. And a lot of our audience of our channel comes from the management consultants, people from IMs, IM grads. I want I want to know from you that how they can add some value or how they can contribute to this emerging industry of CFD in the coming times, or what message you want to have for them.
So first of all, as you can see, the type of hard skills that a company requires basically creates a huge potential. That set of hard skills inherently creates a huge potential for people who do not have that hard skill, because the equation has to be balanced. We are not running a research lab, we are running a business entity. Our work might be of research nature, so that means we want people coming from business backgrounds, from management backgrounds, uh, to basically put the right words, to tell us that, look, you're doing all this great work, but then this is all useless if you're unable to, you know share it with the world, and in the right jargon. It cannot be, all the stuff that we talk. We are a startup, so we are looking for business development, people who have expertise in business development, who can probably raise research grants, people who can talk to big organizations, tell them about us, what we are doing, and basically everything that goes behind sales, marketing, branding, PR, negotiations, customer relationships. I mean, we are basically short on everything right now. So personally, from our point of view, we are definitely looking for people, as long as they meet our soft skills,
Yeah,
uh, to become a part of our company.
that's great. So I think a lot of people who will be watching from IM side, from the IM backgrounds, they will be very curious to know that what particular industries you are right now focused in. If you can just
Right.
name them, I understand your clients must be confident. There must be confidential criteria or confidential clause. If you can also reveal some of your clients or maybe the industries from which they come in, so that they have a basic context of in which
Right.
arena your work is.
Right. So advanced manufacturing is has turned out to be one of the biggest industries for us. We have already developed an end-to-end physics simulation software for that industry. Our clients are many of the premier institutes uh, in India, and basically all over the world. Actually, it could be Texas A&M, IIT Roorkee, IIT Hyderabad, University of North Texas, and we are very proud to share that the defense and research organizations, without talking too much, are very interested in our product, and looks like we'll have the honor of having our software on their premises very soon. So that's on the manufacturing side. Then we have worked quite a lot on data center side as well, wherein the world's largest social media company, Meta, and they're developing these huge data centers in the US, and they want to understand the amount of heat that will be rejected in the environment, and they somehow want to minimize it while maintaining the efficiency of their coolers or air conditioners, right? So that's another one, that's another type of work. Then let's take the mining industry in India, aluminium mining. We are helping world's largest aluminium conglomerate, based in Orissa, to enhance their production of aluminium using principles of competition physics. And there is an entire range. I mean, there's green energy, uh, CO2 synthesis, hydrogen fuel cells, electric vehicles. We are doing a lot of stuff.
Right, right.
But these were the three examples that I thought would make some connect to what we are actually doing.
I mean, absolutely, because a lot of the people who will be watching from the business graduates, they want, if even they want to work with you or even they want to contribute to you, they will be requiring the context of the industries they are in.
Sure.
Otherwise, we'll be concluding this whole interview today. I also want to know one or two aspects from the soft qualities which you mentioned. You said taking ownership and building long-term relationship. I often see in startups and in companies, people are having a very short-term mindset. They just want just like a short-term trading on the stock market. So how do you reconcile this fact that do you see people taking ownership, or are they willing to go for a long-term relationship with the startup because it can give you a huge profit also in the longer run to
The
them?
short term players haven't stayed in a company for long, and we were fortunate that we identified that very early, and now we are able to identify it before hiring itself. One, coming from a numbers background, from a mathematics background, one very interesting piece of pattern I want to share. People from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, are actually, they have turned out to be much long term players. They're
Okay,
actually going
okay.
for a very big money. They're actually going, they are showing more resilience and more patience, uh, rather than making money today or tomorrow. And the vice versa has been seen from applicants from metropolitan cities. So these are some pointers that now we are adjusting our hiring equation a little bit here and there, to make this work.
People from tier 2 and tier 3 cities are willing to
Yeah,
commit more
they're
as compared
actually
to.
playing the long game. And they are doing very well in the company. They are becoming leaders very soon. They are staying longer. They are getting bonuses, faster. They are getting hikes faster, because they were not focused about the money, and that's why money is chasing them. I guess that's
Absolutely.
how it works. Yeah.
No, definitely. I think that's a long-term relationship that employees and employee both need to have to create value. Last, Advait, how do you maintain the culture of a company? I believe culture is a critical part. It can make or break the company. How do you maintain the culture?
I guess you need to hire the right people to start with, but once you have hired, we have these regular, you know meetings where we basically repeat the same stuff, that you ought to respect each other. You're free to wear whatever you want as long as it does not interfere with your job roles. um, we hire young HRs, human resource people. We hire management people with a bit more feminineness in them, so that they don't go and explode on, when there's a conflict, and try to subdue it down and make this right. So I think the credit goes not to me really. I was just the one who told them what I want. It's actually the team who is taking care of carrying forward the type of culture we want in the company. We don't have hierarchy as such. I mean, and it's okay. Anyone can talk to anyone at all times. So
That's
it's
perfect. I
it's
think
basically casual. It's casual as long as we are not in front of a customer or a client. But then when that happens, I think people are very smart to switch gears and take on the professional, behavior.
I mean, absolutely, Advait. Flat hierarchy is a critical component. All the MBAs understand this thing that startups needs to be absolutely responsive and they need to have the flatter hierarchy. And kudos to you that you are able to subdue that individual ego, because it's very difficult for CEO to subdue the ego and be responsive to all the comments. Even they might be against you sometimes. Against you, do you feel that your decisions have been challenged in the company for the good?
Yeah, yeah, it's
How do
very
you handle
real.
that?
It's I mean, as long as there is a proper logic, there's nothing to be hurt about. And I mean, I'm very fortunate that my team are all very analytical people, and they give me very exact reasoning why they want things in a certain way. Sometimes I don't agree with them, but I still let them do it, because I
Yeah.
think that's a very critical aspect of them doing and learning something. So I get proven wrong, many times a week. So I've gotten used to it.
That's great. Others, we have a question from Priyanshu. She writes that, what is your take on the vertical growth in startup teams? As an employee, what shall be the expectation in general from the employee mindset? What you have to offer to the employees?
Right, right. Uh, we are offering a very we are offering leadership positions at a very fast rate. Uh, we are offering them decision making power. Um, all the way up to hiring. Actually, there are people in the company who have been here for almost a year, but now they get to choose their team. So that absolute freedom of doing things in your own way, and at the end of it taking ownership, is something I think is unique about our company. That's one thing. And then, I mean, I'm offering a very nice office. It's a very homely sort of setup. I'm offering them, I do spend well on the employees. I mean, I'm offering them nice, comfortable seating areas. There are game. We have a games room. We have a small cafe and things like that. So it's nothing too fancy, but whatever we are doing is genuinely to keep our employees happy.
Great. So autonomy, greater decision making, and a,
Yes,
and a strong growth, economic and at
definitely,
the social
definitely,
level. That is
definitely,
what the
definitely.
work of working with a startup as compared to a company where things are less in control and you work on your silos. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. I think we are done, Adwait, with any. I don't think so. Anyone questions? Any more questions do we have right now? Now, just as a concluding question that I asked to every panelist and as guests, what one message, Adwait, you want to give A to the aspiring entrepreneurs and B to the aspiring employees working with your company in the same order?
To the entrepreneurs, just stay where you are, and you can run a business from your own, area of comfort. For the employees, kind of similar suggestion. Try working for companies that are not based in tier one cities. Try being more open minded about, you know doing something in a tier two or a tier three city. So kind of relative. I'm basically asking everyone to work in tier two or tier three cities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially in the context of Bangalore water crisis, what we are witnessing, that
Yeah.
it's become so pertinent that tier two cities have opened up new opportunities. Thank
Yeah.
you, Adwair. Thank you for this wonderful interview. Thank you for all the 35 people who have been in the house. If I can recapitulate all the points, is the hard skills which are required from the employees are core technical on the CFD. Second, Adwair mentioned that we as a country and also as individuals in the academic institutions have to focus on the fundamental science, on the research science rather than the applicable side. Third, he wrote about a lot of soft skills, which I believe are core if you want to be hired in the Pandas applications. They are ownership, building long-term relations, having clarity on relationships, and being emotionally stable and mentally strong and healthy. So if I could sum up all the key points of this discussion, I have done it. Thank you, Adwaith. Thank you all the wonderful people who have been there with us for last 40 minutes. I'll see you next week in the next episode with another founder, another CEO, and we'll be trying to recapitulate the best core skill sets, what is required in the present dynamics of the industry. Thank you, Adwaith. Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
and
Thank you very much, Gaurav. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
okay, bye-bye. Bye.